Okay, well, welcome. We're going to go over tonight how to utilize the Cloud CMA that we have in our office. And if you guys are interested in having your own Cloud CMA account, just send me a message. Just a quick email would be great tonight so that I can help work on getting you guys your own individual accounts. I think we need about 4 or 5 more agents who are interested in having their own Cloud CMA account. In order to get the group rate. So if you're interested, just send me a quick email tonight and I'll be happy to follow up with you guys over the next week or two to get that done. Tonight, we're going to really dive in and look at how to utilize the Cloud CMA in its best function, how to build it. Many of you have been through some of my classes before on how to do a CMA, so a lot of this might be review. But I think it's worth going through the mechanics of how to utilize the program. There is a way on the MLS now to load up your MLS numbers. And then if you had your own Cloud CMA account, you could load it right on in. That will save you some time. So there is a benefit by having your own account. So if you are by a computer, if you want to follow along, we are going to go through and we will record this tonight. But if you want to see the program or see what it's all about, it's Cloud, CLOUD, CMA.com. And the last thing I want to do is pitch something that is not usable or difficult or challenging or it takes a long time to learn. At Best Choice Realty, we want to utilize the best tools and obviously save the most money, but also get the right information to our clients. So I love that Cloud CMA pulls the data right from the MLS and then allows you to present the information to your sellers in a very nice, friendly kind of way. So if Shannon, if you could go to Cloud CMA, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add some MLS numbers to that. And I'll give you an address here to work with. If you tell me when you're ready.
Can you see my screen, Rochelle?
Yep, go ahead. So we're going to do, we're going to create a new one. I personally endorse the product. I think it's a fantastic product, CMA. I wish the MLS would have partnered with Cloud CMA in such a way where it's part of the MLS or part of the fees that we pay with the MLS. Because their system, although it has similar types of pages that you could build with the MLS, it does not have that friendly, polished type of modern look that I think Cloud CMA has. So that's my just my sales pitch on that. So if you want to go to create a new report, yep, we're going to go ahead and build a CMA. There are other tours you can build, such as the buyer or the seller. Oh, here you go. Sorry, I got a helper that can help me deal with my phone calls. Yeah, just put their name or the client's name. Just go ahead and put Mr. Test. Yep, that sounds great. And then you can actually put some private notes if you want to put some notes to yourself or to me. You could actually put those right into the system. So not necessary to put anything in that box. But then on the address on the right-hand side, the subject property, we're going to go ahead and put 1127 23rd Avenue Court, Southwest in Puyallup. There we go. And it automatically finds those addresses. If it does not find the address, it might be because your listing has either A, never been listed, or it's not pulling with the tax records or pulling with the MLS data. There could be a chance where that happens. Speaking of that, it does not work for commercial property. If you guys are wanting to do a commercial CMA, this is not the product for you. But it does pull single family. I believe there's condos as well. Can you check the down arrow there, Shannon? Oh, it does commercial. Again, it's pulling from the MLS, which does not pull the CEBA or any of the other forms. So it may not give you the information you need. They did add that field recently, it looks like, but it's only going to do multifamily, single family, vacant land, farm and ranch. But again, it's only pulling from the Northwest MLS, not from the RMLS, not from the SQUIM MLS, and it's not pulling from the CEBA, which is the commercial MLS. Okay, so important to know. They add the cover photo. If you do not put a cover photo, I like to just take a quick photo if I'm driving by of the house or gather that photo maybe from the old listing it's always fun to see that when you show up at the house and you see the old listings, like, I know you've done a lot of work to it, but this is what your old house looked like. It's a nice before photo. If you don't put a photo, it will automatically pull like a map grid, like a Google map showing where the house is located. So I recommend a photo if you have it. If you not, just go ahead and go to the next step, which is exact listings. You have two choices. You can either use the exact listings where you actually put in the MLS numbers, or what you can do is the quick and dirty, which is going to be as good as, like, say, Redfin or Zillow. You know how they automatically put some of the criteria in and then they average things out. That's what the quick and dirty will do. It's taking the data directly from the MLS and averaging everything out for you. I don't recommend the quick and dirty unless you're wanting some sort of quick out the door, here's the comparables, push the button, and then it's not a really one. We want to teach you guys on how to use the CMA feature correctly. So yes, we always use the exact listings and we pop in some numbers. So I'm going to give you some numbers, Shannon. You ready? 1567182, comma. You always have to put a comma there before you put the next one in. 1534658. Okay. And then let me give you another one. 1531971. And then 1552824. Okay. And what I gave Shannon was just the sold. There's about 4 sold properties that we can look at. Now, what I've taught you guys a couple weeks, I think it was a couple weeks ago, is that we should be using, or we should be also looking for active properties as well as solds. So we'll do that in a second, but I want to get this program for you so you can see how to at least get this in the queue. So go ahead and once you've got those in, you will go ahead and, let's see, there we go. It's thinking right now. When it's thinking, we have to wait. Don't push any buttons. And I know there's a delay between what you guys see and what I see. So after about a minute of time, what you're going to see is organized listings. And this is the place where you can zoom in or zoom out on your map. You can see there's a plus sign or a minus. So if your comparables are out of the range or out of the picture, you're going to probably need to manipulate that plus or that minus so that the map shows up properly. You want the purple one. See the little purple dot there in the middle? That's the subject. And the comparables are, you can see in red right on the map. So we want to make sure that at least the purple, the house or the subject property, is in the screen kind of somewhere in the middle, so you can kind of see, if you put this into a report, the comparables will show up. So that's a good way to kind of look at it right there. The other thing you want to look at is, if you see on the listings, it will give you the 4 listings that came directly from the MLS. Those are the MLS numbers that it pulled into your report. And then on the right-hand side, it says summary of prices. It gives you kind of a range of what you're looking at. Now, if you were just doing the quick and dirty, you would have probably 20 or 30 listings, and the summary of prices is going to be way off. It's going to give you a low of maybe 450 and a high of like 600. And that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for a refined CMA, something that has the right sold comparables, that's like an appraisal, but it's not an appraisal. Again, we're going to look at this in a way that helps a seller, or help a buyer for that matter, determine what that price should be. What should that target price be? And right here, the low is 489, but the high is 530. And really, when you're looking at this price range in Puyallup, you're going to want to make sure you narrow it down a little bit, because that's quite a big, substantial range. So we're going to want to look at each of these comparables, and you open it up by clicking on the details and adjustments, just like Shannon clicked there. Go ahead and unclick it so they can see. It opens it up and then it closes it. So you can kind of open it up and then you can make some adjustments, but it's taking the data directly from the MLS and populated it in such a way that makes sense. It's user-friendly in such a way where I'm like looking at it, it's not like the MLS, but it does take the same information over from the MLS. It gives you a summary at the top of how many bedrooms, how many baths. I'm specifically looking for a few things. Number one, I'm looking for the lot size, roughly the year built or the condition of the property. and I'm looking at the square foot. So the lot size, the square footage, the year built, or the condition. Those are the 3 or 4 main things I'm looking at. Also to make sure they're within range. So when I'm looking at your CMAs and trying to make sure that you guys are not off base, I look at those 4 or 5 things. And also you can go ahead and rip out the description. If you have a better description, you could take off the description that they wrote and actually create your own. I've done that quite a bit with my sellers to show that I was the one that created this CMA. So I may have kept Craftsman and Great Puyallup location, or I might keep the AC or the custom shades with the remotes and the huge 3-car garage. I might create my own bullet points in the description because this is my CMA. This is my work. This is the work that I put into deciding, number 1, what comparables do I want to use? Number 2, how to adjust those comparables so that it makes sense for the seller in determining the price. And then also my notes. If I had toured this property on 22nd Place and it had a phenomenal view and I wanted to make an adjustment, I want to highlight that. That's my market knowledge. Or that this was on a busy street, or that this had a lot of deferred maintenance. It might have looked good in the pictures, but it smelled like cat urine, for example. Those types of things are very relevant to a seller who's considering jumping into this marketplace with this type of information and making a determination on a target price or a range of a target range. So again, you can modify the description. That's a kind of a top producer tip if I give you an advice on that. And then I do want to, if I'm going to adjust the comparables, because say my square footage, and you can go up, Shannon, if you could scroll up so I can see, the purple gives me the subject property. So it's telling me that my square footage is 2670 square feet. And the subject is 2995 square feet. And so there is a difference. Either I adjust for the bedroom, maybe there's a bedroom, like it has an extra bedroom. Yeah, that one has an extra 4-bedroom. Or I adjust for the square footage. I cannot double dip, meaning I cannot take an adjustment for a square footage and also for the bedroom. So I have to pick. And most of the time it benefits the seller or it benefits the client to use the square footage adjustment factor. So you adjust the square footage to, you put on there square feet, SQ or square feet. Yep. And then you adjust the value. And if mine is better, meaning if mine is more expensive, then we need to adjust it down. In this case, mine is not as big as this one. So I would have to do a minus. So I would get less price for my house because mine had less square footage or mine had less of a bedroom. And that's how you would do an adjustment. Just plain and simple, that's how you do an adjustment. And there's a factor, and the factor is going to vary depending on where your property is located. And you can get that factor, the multiplier, if you will, from an appraiser or from somebody that's very familiar with pricing properties in that particular area. In this particular area of Puyallup, I'm very familiar with how appraisers look at these things. We're going to use a factor of $40. So we're going to consider the $40 being the differential. So you're going to take the total square footage. So Shannon, if you could do the math, that would be awesome. If you could just do it right in the square footage line so they could see how to do that. That would be awesome in the label. And it would be a minus. Yep. So she's taken $40 and she's subtracted 1 square footage from the other square footage. And then she's multiplied that by 40. So you're going to take 29.95 minus 26.70. What does that equal?
325.
Okay, and then multiply that by 40. And what does that get us?
13,000.
Okay, so we're going to do a minus 13,000 there. And then save. Okay, so that brings our price, our target price down because ours is not as big as that property to 499,000. So that's great. Then we go to the next property. Now, again, you can adjust for garage. Looks like this agent found the amount of the garage so that the similar year built, similar area within the range. These are the ones that an appraiser would select. If you select like say you overlooked these 3 and maybe you found something 2 miles out, that's too far. The appraiser is going to have to look within a mile radius first. And if they don't find what they are looking for or the sold comparables to justify the price, then they will go out in distance or in radius. But in this case, we were able to find 3 very relevant comparables, and we cannot just overlook them and say, oh, we don't like this comparable because we don't like it. We don't like that they got a lower price. We don't have that luxury. So we have to really compare this one to the same. Now this one, luckily, it's $27.15 versus $26.70. It's pretty dang close, but for the interest of going through the exercise again, let's go ahead and do the math equation as well. So do $27.15 minus $26.70. What is that?
45.
Multiply that by 40, and what do we get?
1,800.
Okay, and 1,800, so we're gonna do it, it would be a minus because ours is smaller than the one on 29th Avenue Court Southwest. So we're gonna do a minus on that one as well. Now it's not as much, but it still is less square footage, meaning less space. And people want to, they're looking at a price per square foot oftentimes, and we don't want to be too far out of the ball game. So we've got that in there as well. Now, the other thing we want to look at, like I said before, is the garages, the year built, and any kind of updates or upgrades. So we're going to scroll through really quickly on the pictures. I like how Cloud CMA makes it easy to do. You just use the arrows there on the left or the right, and Shannon's going to quickly go through. Beautiful home. Again, we got to ask ourselves, is ours better quality or worse quality? And let's just say that ours had a newer countertop. This one has a tiled countertop. Let's say that our client went ahead and put quartz in on the countertop. And that's very desirable right now, is to put new updates as far as bathrooms or countertops or updates to the kitchen. That would get sellers more money. And that is a subjective factor, meaning that you can determine as the broker, now within reason certainly, how much to adjust for that particular attribute or that particular subjective factor. So with countertops, I'm going to go ahead. It was quite expensive to put the countertop in. We're going to use this as an example. And let's just say it was $5,000 adjustment factor. That would be a positive. So we're going to use it as 5,000. Ours has the benefit. This comparable does not. So we click save, and that jumps our total price up to $492. Now let's look at the square footage of the lot. I believe the lot size on this one, 50. Let's see, how does the lot size look, Shannon? My screen is so small.
This comparable is 6,033.
They're very close. So again, if they're within range, you don't want to try to do some adjustments and go crazy on the lot size, especially in Washington, when I could have an 8,000 square foot lot and a 6,000 square foot lot, and they actually feel the same when you actually walk them because of the way the topography is or where the fencing is placed. You got to be careful that you don't adjust too much on your lot size. You really want to compare lot to lot, meaning you don't want to have something on an acre compared to something that's on an 8,000 square foot lot. They're completely different product, completely different house, a completely different way of looking at that. So don't compare that, but with this one, we didn't have to do much to it. It pretty much put us right there. Let's go to the 28th Avenue Court Southwest, and let's look at that one. Also, great job on selecting this comparable. It's a 3-car garage, very similar in year built. Also a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath, 2,750 square feet. If you're looking for a range, you really want to keep your range of square footage. You don't want to go crazy and find something that's 1,000 square feet less or more than your subject. You want to really keep it within a reasonable range. This is a reasonable range of being 300 or 400 square feet off. Then that multiplier will work really nicely. Go ahead and use the multiplier on that one, Shannon, so we can get that one done. 2,750 minus 2,670.
Be $3,200.
Okay. All right, perfect. And just put square feet. Again, if we only did the square foot adjustment to only one, we're going to be way off base and you're going to be challenged by your seller or your buyer. So if you do the square foot adjustment, make sure you do it for every single comparable, even if it's off by $50 or 50 square feet or 100 square feet. Next one, $495. Great. Yep. Now this one has got an interesting one because it's in a similar vintage. I mean, it's 1998. So I like this one as a comparable because our subject is also built in 1990, in the 90s. It's been updated. And I want to make sure that we're comparing like kind property. So go ahead and flip through the pictures real quick, Shannon. And let's look at the pictures to make sure we are adjusting correctly. Now ours has the 3-car garage. So let's make sure we give ourselves the benefit on this one. It's only a 2-car garage. But I like the vintage on this one, and it does feel like that type of property. But we definitely want to adjust for the garage, and then we also probably want to adjust for some of the upgrades that ours has in comparison to this one. Yeah, it has the wood floor entry, and it does have that nice kind of stylish moldings and upgraded on that when this home was built. Has a sunroom. That's kind of interesting. I mean, do we give an adjustment? It could be a defect or giving a minus on this one. But yeah, we do want to update for the kitchen on the countertops that this guy has done. But yeah, this is a great one. We do want to adjust for square footage too. So it sounds like square footage and lot size is pretty close, and the garage. The garage, we're going to give it 5,000. Anytime you have an additional bay, and again, I mean additional bay, not the tandem. If you do a tandem, it's going to be off. Some appraisers will agree with you, others will not on the tandems. And the tandem meaning it's 2-car, but it's like it has the deep, it has a place to park 2 cars, but that tandem is not really suitable for an adjustment. So as long as it's a true 3rd-car garage, go ahead and give yourself an extra $5,000. And that goes all the way up into Renton, Kent, King County. Anytime you have an additional bay, you can give yourself an extra 5. Countertops, let's give ourselves an extra 5 on that. And then save, yep. And then let's just say overall condition. Let's just go ahead and call it. It's a very subjective thing, but if you toured the property or you'd seen that when it was on the market, that's why it's super important that you guys are out there touring some of these properties, even if you're not busy, because then you can make those adjustments as necessary. And I can tell you this one is not as nice as the one that we have that's coming on the market. So let's give it $10,000. It's got new cabinets. It's got, it's got refreshed cabinets. I'll say that, new countertop, and also it's got new flooring. So let's just go ahead and put that one on in. Yep, perfect, Shannon. Thank you for jumping on that. Okay, so now we've adjusted all of our comparables. And when we're done here, what we're trying to do is paint a story. Where does that range need to sit? And if you refresh, you can kind of see we did the detail adjustments on the 28th Avenue, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that puts our top range at 530 and our low at
526.
Oh, I'm sorry, 526. Okay, perfect. So that summary of prices on the right-hand side gives you kind of a frame of reference on the high, the median, the average, and the low. But that doesn't mean that when you customize that you're not going to have a different package. So we're going to go ahead and see, it looks to me like the high would be 525. I wouldn't want to go higher than that. And the low would be 499 or 492 too. So with the adjustment. So you're kind of right there at that 500 mark. Let's go ahead and customize report so you can see how that works. I don't use the purple. I don't like to box myself in with a range. I like to have it so I can talk through it. So I never use that purple on the other page. If you go back one shot, Shannon, so they can see that, that would be good. Go back to listings. It's at the very, very top. I don't use that. I don't use that subject property price range. I like to just leave that blank. Some of you may like to use it, and if you are used to using it, no problem, but I use my own net sheet on my mobile app or on the MLS. I don't use the net sheet here, and I don't use the range because I don't want to be boxed in. So I want to customize the report at this point in time because I have the right comparables. Number one problem that I see with you guys when you do your CMAs is you don't use the right comparables. So that's the half step right before we even got to today's call, is finding and selecting the right comparables. Then I want to go here and we want to organize it in such a way that makes sense. And the way I like to order my report is I like to have the title page, that's fine, that has the picture of their home. If you don't want to use the title page, or say you want to just jump right into the comparables, you can just, yeah, just move it all out. There you go. If you want to use the Best Choice Realty customized pages, you can do that. If you go down, Shannon, I believe they're in the, keep going, refer to standard. There you go, custom pages, cover page. Somebody has taken my cover out. I have to put that back. But you can see what somebody has done. If you want to create your own custom pages, you can do that. See, they have a nice cover page. Go ahead and include that, Shannon, so they can see how that works. I'm going to go ahead and put back our Best Choice Realty custom pages. But in the interest, we have a team, the Home Guide Northwest, and they have their own cover page. If you guys wanted to have your own cover page, you could do that. Now all they did is branded it to themselves. Looks great with a testimonial on the front. Great idea. Good job, Tracy and Ryan Herrera, if they're on the call. And then they can go right on into the summary of their comparable properties. Okay, so I like that one. That's nice. I like to put in the Zillow and the the Zillow page. Go up to the top. Oh, actually, it's in there. Bring that up to the very top. Let's just step right into the punch here, and let's put that right in after the map of all the listings. Yep. There we go, before the summary. What that page is it basically summarizes if the seller was to list the home with Zillow, it's going to be off by 5.5% if they just went off of that. And we don't want to leave money on the table. We want the real data. And so the way you talk to that page is just explaining to the seller that this is what Zillow says your home, all of these comparables are worth today. And here's what they actually sold for. So the Zestimate is off. And you want to drill that point home, that is not the way that people price their homes. They rely on a true professional to actually tour and evaluate the property. Zillow does not send people into their house to price their home. Redfin does not send people into their house to price their home. I guess they do in some way because they're licensed brokers, but their online calculators do not. And so if you're looking at the Zestimate or the Redfin estimate that you see on there, you're going to be off. And that's what we don't want to do, is we don't want to price that way. And I just kind of step into it. And that's how I use that page. If you're going to include it, make sure you know how to talk to it. If you do not know how to talk to it, exclude it just by taking the little arrow or the little red thing that comes up and eliminating it. So if you don't like something here, just eliminate it. Okay, X out of that one. So we like that one, the summary. The listings chapter, I like to go right on into it. So I get rid of that one. Perfect. And then the details or the photos, more photos, those are all good. The one that's missing is the subjective factors. If you can grab that over on the left-hand side. I believe it's, yeah, their adjustments. We did the adjustments, so we want to include that. Let's show our work. Well, I'm going over this as a rookie agent, and some of you are new to the business. You do not want to share this with a seller unless you get the listing. I've had sellers who've said, well, I don't want to sign the agreement unless you give me your work. It's like, I spent a lot of time working this out. So no, if somebody's not willing to sign an agreement with you, then they are not entitled to get a copy of your work. So you can include your adjustments. If you're just doing this as kind of a quick and dirty, it's up to you how you want to do. But again, if you're going to show all your work and really go into detail and price this property correctly, we're not going to give them a copy of this unless we have a signed agreement. Okay. Go down, Shannon. Analysis chapter. Let's click on that one. Let's see what that is. That's just a header. We don't need the header. Let's X out of that, eliminate that page. Comparable property statistics. Do we need this one? If I wanted to really go into detail about price per square foot, it's all about the same. So I don't need that one. Let's X out of that one. Sometimes it's good to give a lot of information. Depends on who you're talking to. If your seller likes data, you might be playing around on that left side quite a bit. And this sold property analysis, I like this one because it shows that we got to price it right in order for us to get the home. So let's not overprice it. So I'm going to go ahead and include that one as my closer. Okay, and then at the very end, I have what I need for a CMA. In essence, that's what I need, and I'm going to be able to do this on the fly. So I publish. Click on publish at the top. Pretty simple to do on Cloud CMA.
Before we publish real quick, I think it's important to note also that if there's other things that you want to include, there's a lot of other ones here on the left-hand side as well.
Yep. And you can include them just by putting them in. If you don't see what you like here, like I just didn't see what I liked, it saves the whoever used Cloud CMA, whoever used my account before, it saves whatever the last person did. So just realize that you may need to go back and grab what you need from the left side. If you have your own Cloud CMA, what would be nice about that is you don't have to sit here and pick and choose. You have it all ready to go. It'll save you time in building these. So if you do a lot of Cloud CMAs or you use the Cloud CMA a lot for your sellers or for your buyers, you may want to just pay the monthly fee that I'm able to negotiate for you guys and get your own account. And I'm very close to getting that done. Okay, click on View PDF. And that's what you're left with is a beautiful report with your cover page or the cover page that we've built for you, as well as the map, and then the online valuation analysis, the summary of the comparables that we used. And then it goes into detail showing them the pretty pictures and the summary of each comparable. Most of the time, the sellers that I talk to, they spend an absorbent amount of time looking at those photos. And then they look to me to evaluate the differences between their property and my market knowledge on the price adjustments. So be prepared to explain the price adjustments when you get to those pages. So it's kind of like a back and forth where I show them the pictures like Shannon's laid out here. We discuss it. What do you like about this one? How does your house compare? And then I go to the next page and explain what I did to adjust for their property. And that was the quick and dirty way to do it. Okay, so yeah, it's quick and dirty, but it does take you some time in building it. The other thing I'll share with you is that, when you get done and you want to edit it, you can actually edit it just by going back to the main page here. Let's say we want to go back and we want to edit some more listings and we want to find some more listings. You can actually edit this by going to the bottom there and adding some more MLS numbers. Or let's just play with this. I don't know if they changed this feature. Click on the quick and dirty, Shannon, and let's see if we can find some actives. Go ahead and click submit and let's see what it does to the next page. Okay, oh, they're actually adding more criteria. Okay, but let's see if we can find some actives because I want to make sure you guys are finding some active comparables as well as pendings and solds for your CMAs. Okay. It's going to take a minute because it's pulling directly from the MLS. It's going to find at least 10. I would want you guys to go back, not a year, but change that to 6 months. 1 year is too long, but look, you can see what's active. There's only one property on the market right now. And I want to know what the active property looks like. So let's look at that active property and determine whether we should add that one to our mix or not. Oh boy, looks like it's a new construction. That's what it looks like. So there's some new construction going on in Silverbrook. So I'm definitely going to want to go check out Silverbrook and see what they're building out there in Puyallup. And they're not on the market yet, but that could certainly impact our pricing. Because would somebody want to go for a new construction over something that's old, built in 1999, that's maybe updated and pick their own colors and their own paint and they do their own backyard the way they want? Probably. So I'm going to want to know what the new construction builders are doing out there in Puyallup. So my high might be much different. There's some pendings in there that's adjusting my high, it looks like. So I might want to go through and look at some of the pendings before I click submit and go out the door. Know what these are going for. That one's not applicable, Shannon. We can eliminate that. So you could uncheck the box and quickly manipulate this. That one is not the same. It's a rambler. Don't like that one. So I can find my actives or my pendings this way if it makes sense for you guys to do that. That one also is a rambler, not comparable. Same thing on that one. Same thing on that one. Again, we want to compare like kind properties. There's a 2-story, but not a 3-car garage. That one's an interesting one, about the same square footage, but it's brand new. So I would have to adjust for our factor. Ours does not have a new kitchen. So we could keep that one or we could continue looking. Again, that one's a big one and that one sold for $560, but it's 3,100 square feet. So I was tempted to use this one, but I decided not to because it did have a view. And I don't want to compare a view property. It'd be easier just not to include it. So I opted not to keep that one. Okay. So I could go through all of these, but you get the gist of it. It basically, you could edit it. And then once you edit it down, you have to make sure you uncheck the boxes here. Shannon's doing that quickly for us here. You see how easy it is to manipulate. Again, not the same type of property. So these would not be, nope, not that one. Not a rambler. Not a rambler. You can see a lot of ramblers are going on out there. So I'd be curious to know if they're building any 2-stories that have the type of setup that we have. Nope. So I'm pretty much going to be down to, I think, where I started from. I've done this exercise before. Okay, so we've got kind of the gist right here, and then you complete and you go through the last step, and then you've got your full CMA. Okay, then you publish it again. So it's pretty easy to manipulate, and then it does give you an email. It does allow you to download it. It does allow you to email your client directly from the CMA reports. I would encourage you guys, if you are going to be emailing it to your buyer or your seller, that you copy the PDF or you view the PDF and save it to your computer and then email it from your own email. It would come a lot better than coming from the main account. If you have your own Cloud CMA account, another benefit of having your own Cloud CMA, you would have the ability to email them directly from the site. And I've had really good success with that. But there have been some instances, because the file is so big from the email and the way it's coded, and coming from this Cloud CMA account, you actually would be better off to download it and actually email it to your client. Okay. Great idea, Ben. And I'm done for tonight. So if I welcome any chats or any communication. Ben asked a question. Shannon, what was the question that Ben had?
Yeah, let's just go through these. So any advice on how to go about finding an appraiser willing to share price adjustment information?
Yes, we have a list of appraisers, depending on what area you're looking at, that we could call and ask them what differential they use. I probably have the answer you're looking for because I've made a lot of phone calls on that, Ben, but it's going to be a range. It's going to be anywhere from, $35 a square foot down in Thurston County to about $50 a square foot up in King County. It's going to range depending on the neighborhood or depending on the class of property. There are some properties out in Mercer Island, for example, where, $40 or $45 is laughable. Mercer Island's going to get you a lot more in price per square foot because of the buildable. It takes more effort to build on that island, the traffic, the just building on that kind of waterfront property. So their square foot adjustment factor is higher than, say, Puyallup. So it's going to depend on where you are and the quality or the year built of your property. But great question. If you have an appraiser, you need to reach out to an appraiser. I frame that question just like, hey, we help. Kind of like we help them out when they call and ask questions about, did you guys do square footage or did you do concessions? I frame it in such a way where, hey, I've helped you guys out. Would you mind answering a question about, I've got a property that I'm going to be putting on the market out in Puyallup, and I'm just looking for a price per square foot. What would you use if you were just adjusting the square footage? And then they usually give me a range. It's about 35 or 40 or 42 or whatever the number is. That's the number that I'm using to do my adjustments. So great question, and hopefully I answered your question. Anything else, Shannon?
Yeah, another question is, what about closing costs? If someone had concessions on a sold property, should I include those in my adjustments?
Yes, definitely. That should be something that's factored in for sure. So if you knew that they did a $7,000 closing cost contribution and we have 4 sold properties, yeah, we want to factor that in because that will affect our kind of our mid-range and our top and our low as well by knowing that information. That's relatable information. That's important to know that.
We've got a question from Emily Howell about a cheat sheet for adjustments. We've got one, Emily, we'll send it out tomorrow. But just so those that don't get a chance to read it, what do you think is kind of like a rule of thumb for most common adjustments?
I went through the most common square footage adjustments for sure. So knowing that would be helpful. Or again, you got the choice, either the bedroom or the square footage. Bathrooms are very shocking to people. They're like, what? I don't get like $50,000 for adding another bathroom. That cheat sheet that Emily's talking about goes through and kind of gives you a range to use for an adjustment factor. So like, we didn't have time tonight to go through that, but one of the properties had a 3/4 bath versus a quarter bath. That's an extra bathroom, and that definitely gives you some extra dollars for when you actually price. So that cheat sheet's helpful for bathrooms as well as for square footage adjustments. I would say also for condition, it gives you kind of a range to work within. And so you might want to refer to the cheat sheet, but again, it's not, I would say that if your adjustments go well beyond the range, like hundreds of thousands of dollars, you're way off. You need to probably go back to the drawing board and find either better comparables or call me so I can help you with your adjustments. It should not be a huge significant adjustments, but within reason, 10, 20,000, 30,000 on a price like a $500,000 property, that's within reason. But if we're talking about $100,000 price adjustment, that means we need to go back to the drawing board and see what you did that was not correct with your adjustments. Hopefully that was helpful, but you'll see what I mean when you see the factors. It's a big range, and it might take more skill in knowing how to do your subjective adjustments. Like I said, if you're using my Cloud CMA, I can easily go in there and kind of look at it and make some recommendations or adjust it for you if you're off base. So some of you that are newer, start there before you get your own Cloud CMA account so that I can help you.
And another question that we had come through, and this really is for a lot of newer brokers in the industry, is how do I send in a net sheet, or how do I prepare that and send that to my clients?
Okay, that's a great question, and I believe we've got Fidelity on the call on Wednesday. So I'm going to table that answer to Wednesday, kind of tease you guys a little bit tonight. We are going to cover that. They have a mobile app, and I'm going to actually have them show me how to download it and put it on my phone. And then I will actually practice on the call on Wednesday, actually going through and using it with Fidelity. So I know we have a lot of friends at different companies, but pretty much everybody has that calculator on their phone as a mobile function. Fidelity, Chicago, Tycor, WFG, I believe First American has it now. Everybody pretty much has that mobile application on their phone. And what's nice about using the mobile application that's with that title company is that it's actually pulling the rates of the title and the escrow fee. So I'm not significantly off. In fact, it's pretty close to being only dollars off when it comes to actually closing on the sale. So I'm going to show you guys how to use the net sheet on Wednesday on that. But again, if you want to use the MLS one, it's a fairly good one to use, the financial tools, but I don't use the Cloud CMA one just because I want it to be much more manipulate on the fly. So there's a strategy of why I do it that way, Shannon, is not putting it in the package.
So another question that I got, especially for a lot of those South King or South Pierce kind of areas, is do we adjust for differences in commission percentages as well?
Oh, that's interesting. I have not. That's the first question I've got on that. You mean like the difference of 0.5% between 2.5 and 3? So
right.
It was in federal way.
Right.
I was having to pay commission. I would say that we have not done that in the past, but that might be something we want to watch out for, especially when we're looking at trying to see what is the seller's net going to be at the end. At this point, we don't really factor that in. It's just marketing cost, the way you look at it.
And I think that's all the questions we had for tonight.
Okay. If there's anybody that wants to unmute their line, I think we could take one more question on the phone. If not, we'll see you guys tomorrow on, actually we'll send you the materials out tomorrow and then see you guys on Wednesday for our 1-hour session with Fidelity. Have a great week and good luck out there. Pricing is fun. It's fierce right now. Price right. That's my,
Michelle, this is Willie, real quick. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah. I'd like to be part of that CMA. So
Okay.
You can include me in that.
Include you in that? Okay, that'd be great. And if there's anybody else, just send me a quick note, but I'll add you
What
to
time is the meeting on Wednesday?
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock. Okay, I got it on my calendar. All right, thank you.
All right, you guys have a good one.